Welcome, Flosstube. This is Wendy from Wendy in Neverland. I am coming to you on the 7th of September, 2019. This is vlog number 5. We're getting there. Getting there. Thank you all for joining me. I am so happy to have new people joining all the time and subscribing and all that kind of stuff and finding me. So thank you for doing that. It's been a crazy week. Extremely busy. So we drove to the beach one day. We went to the state fair. We had first Thursday meetup for Pacific Northwest Stitchers. Working on bags still as usual. Working on the driveway. We'll get into that a little bit. And then dealing with my mother-in-law and some of the housing issues with her. So very busy. It just seems like, sometimes you have those weeks where you feel like you're just drowning and you're not going to get everything done you need to. That's kind of how I feel this week. So let's get into some goodies. Now, as I've done before, a lot of things that will be at the beginning of the video will be non-stitchy stuff. Though I will talk about stitchy stuff a little bit when I talk about the fair. I'm doing it a little bit different. I'm going to come and talk to you like I am right now in between video clips of things, because trying to explain everything right this minute when I'm filming this part and then showing a whole bunch of different clips that are just kind of shoved together about different things, it would be kind of hard to follow. So I will be coming to you a little bit differently and filming spots of me here in between some other things of where we went and what we did. So getting to the first thing that we did, about a week ago, we drove down to Depot Bay, which is south of Lincoln City on the coast. It's kind of a cute little town. It's very small. One of the signs that they have as you cross one of the little bridges along the coastline says, world's smallest bay. I don't know if that still holds the title and they just haven't taken the sign down. Somebody else has it now or what. It's kind of precarious the way the boats have to come in there. I mean, it can't be a big boat. It has to be, the fishing boats, but it can't be something super big. Is that the channel to get into this little tiny bay, it curves with these big rock towers, walls on either side, and it's not very wide. So you really have to know what you're doing to get into that bay. So we were there. We had a very nice lunch in a restaurant just across on the non-ocean side of 101, but we were on the second floor, just huge windows where you could just look out at the ocean. It was wonderful. It was a casual place. It was nice enough, but it was casual. So it wasn't like you had to be fancy and all dressed up. Because my husband, he really wanted to go to the coast, but for some reason, that's Penelope back there. For some reason, he never really has an agenda. I'm guessing he wants to look at the water, but that's about it. He never says, oh, I want to go walk on the sand, or I want to go to this store, or I want to do this. And so it's just kind of like, well, we got there, and now what? And I asked him several times, what else do you want to do? And he really couldn't tell me. So I'm like, okay, I get to pick. Yay! So I stopped in an antique store. It wasn't a very big one. It was kind of small, so it didn't take very long for me to go through it. But it was a nice little store. So I got to do that. Didn't really do anything else except for one other thing. After we had lunch, we walked across 101 there to, there's a sidewalk on both sides running through town. And on that side, the ocean side, it's not one of those places where there's a nice sandy beach. It's just rocks. And it's not that far from the road before you hit ocean for these rocks. So there may be some things. Hang on a minute. What are you trying to eat? She was chewing up something. I want to make sure it wasn't something she wasn't supposed to have. Anyway, the rocks it's not very far from the sidewalk to the ocean. Um, so you're pretty close to the ocean at that point, and it drops off. I mean, just down pretty deep. I don't know exactly how deep, but it is not a gradual decline by any means. It just drops off pretty quickly. So as we got over there, we saw some people, including some older people, and I thought, well, maybe they just can't see very well, and this is why they were doing this. They had binoculars, and they were looking right down at the water right below them. Thinking, why do you need binoculars when you're right there? So we stood there, and there were other people that were looking down in that area too, not necessarily with binoculars, but I'm like, something's going on. We need to sit here and kind of figure out what's going on. So not long after that, and it wasn't exactly where they were looking, it was just a little bit to the right of them, a whale breached. It wasn't a huge whale, but it was just like, oh my goodness. So he just kind of came up and arced and then went back down, you know, took a breath of air. Like, this is so awesome. I have been out on one of those little whale watching boats. I've gone down to Depot Bay all the time. Never have seen a whale until that day in person. It was so awesome. So we just kind of kept walking down the sidewalk because he would slowly make his way down the coastline, taking breaths and coming out. And I mean, it was just one of those moments where you're just like, I can't believe this. I finally am seeing this, and this is awesome. And so I am going to show you a little video of that. It's pretty short because I'm going to cut out, you know, you have to kind of sit there and have your video going for quite a while before something happens. So I will cut out a bunch of that and just show you the good stuff. And then we'll be right back. There. Oh, that was a nice one. Wasn't that awesome? It was so cool. And like I said, we got to watch him breach and come down quite a few times. Not all the time would you see his tail come up out of the water, but it was so awesome. Just tickle me. The next thing we did a few days later was go to the State Fair for Oregon. That's down in Salem. For us, that's only about a half an hour down some back roads, so it's not that bad to get to. Of course, it's always fun when you go to the fairs. You get to see the animals, kind of walk around, look at them. Different shows that are going on, and in this case, in the state fairgrounds, there is a horse stadium, so you're indoors. It's not very big, but it's, you know, it's a nice place to get out of the sun if you want to, and it's got benches with backs on them, so you get to rest for a little bit if you want. But I always love watching the horse competitions no matter what. And on that day that we went, they had the draft horses. They had them in pairs of 2, and their competition was to pull weight. So there's like this big sled that they would hook up to that would just drag on the ground, and they would put sandbags in it. And so I think they always started off, I think it is either 3,500 or 4,500 pounds. So keep in mind that with the 2 horses together, their combined weights maybe around 4,000, 4,500, maybe a little bit more than that depending on the horses. So they're pulling their weight almost to start with. And then after all the teams have gone, then they add more weight. And the first time they add weight, they add 1,000 pounds. So it jumps pretty quickly in that first add-on. After that, they usually add about 500 pounds in increments. And everybody takes a turn pulling until they can't pull anymore, and then they have winners. It's freaking awesome, people, to watch these horses really just put their all into this. And you just can see what they are capable of. It's pretty awesome. So we watched the gelding class first, and there were 4 teams. I think they got up to around 7,000 pounds before they stopped. And then we watched what they called the heavy hitters. These were the stallions. And they got up to, I want to say around 8,000. They did more. They were able to pull more. It was awesome. It was awesome to watch them work. So, I do have a little video of that. I also, got to walk around the arts and crafts building. We got there about an hour earlier than our friends. And because I know they don't, really care for, I mean, they like to look in the arts and crafts building, but they don't want to spend as much time as I do. So because we got there early, I dragged my husband through it for an hour. Now, granted, he followed me around for a little while, and then for at least 20 minutes to 30 minutes, I think he sat down on some chairs and just sat there until our friends got there. There were a lot of quilts. There was quite a bit of knitting, but there wasn't that much stitchy stuff, which I was not only surprised, but disappointed, because I was really hoping to see a lot. I like seeing the stuff that people enter in their fairs, but also it tells you that it's thriving and people are doing a lot of this. And I know that there are, because I see you people on Instagram and Flosstubes and other places that are stitching, but apparently it's not getting entered in fairs, or at least not the state fair that much. Total, including things like embroidery, cross stitch, as well as maybe some other things. I just can't recall what they were. There may have been 20 pieces total, and all of those classifications, and all the stitching classifications. So it wasn't a lot. And I lived in Minnesota for 17 years, and I was used to going, of course, their fair is 4 times as big, so it's really not a good comparison, but they had so much stitching stuff. So yeah, it was a little disappointing, a little sad, but maybe it'll pick up over the years, hopefully. So I do have some video of some of the quilts, as well as some of the stitching stuff, and a few animals, some fun stuff. You know, who doesn't like looking at the animals, especially the baby pigs? They're so cute. So anyway, we'll look at that, and then we'll be back. A lot of fun. It was a nice day too. It did get warmer towards I think we left around 3 or 4, and it was starting to get warm, but it was a lot of fun. Other news, my mother-in-law. If you watched Pixie Dust Stitchers, the videos, I have talked about my mother-in-law in those and what kind of has transpired with her. And she has been diagnosed with mild cognitive impairment. So even though the neurologist says it's not a memory issue, it's more of how you react to things and being able to react to things. And I'm thinking, well, it is, she does have some memory where she doesn't recall things. So even though they say it's not really that, it still seems like that's part of it. She is not able to drive anymore because she can't respond well enough to situations. She went to a occupational therapist. That's what it was. And they did some testing for her to see if she should be driving or not. And it came out that no, she really shouldn't. So, because of all of that, we thought it would be best for her to move into some kind of facility where not only would she be around, she's lived in an apartment for so many years. I can't even tell you how many years it's been. She's always living in apartments. She loves to be around people. She's a very social person and can talk forever. So we thought having her in some kind of place where, it's a senior living, assisted living, whatever, those kind of things, she would be able to be around people. They have transportation that could take her places. We were also looking into she's got, a decent amount of money. It's not like she's going to run out in a month or two of money. But when her money runs out, will that facility accept Medicaid to pay for her living? So those were all the criteria we were looking at. We found something. We moved her in May, I believe it was. I can't remember. Maybe it was April. I think it was April, actually. But it is expensive. And the place we chose was assisted living because I don't know, for one, if independent living type facilities will take Medicaid. I think you have to have some kind of assistance in order for it. I'm not 100% sure on that, though. So it wasn't assisted living. There wasn't independent for the facility that she was moved into. Well, we have gotten so much grief from her brother and sister-in-law who live in Phoenix, who aren't around her, who don't see what she's doing when she's driving, and the memory issues she's having and whatever else. Now, she's pretty capable of taking care of herself for the most part. The neurologist did say, though, that there should be some kind of guidelines for to be able to check on her, though, to make sure that, not that I think she would do this necessarily, but it could happen. It could start happening. Make sure she's eating, make sure she's doing things she needs to do, etc., etc. So her brother and sister-in-law were giving us all kinds of grief about this. Friends that don't live here, live in California, were questioning everything we were doing as well. So we were getting grief from every direction, just about. Now, some of the people that, she's got a sister that lives up here and some other friends, they know. In fact, one of the friends was one who was kind of pushing this as well to try and get her situated somewhere else. So she wasn't just living in some apartment complex where she had no way to get around unless she called an Uber or something. So we found a place that did accept Medicaid when her money ran out, that, had all the social interactions, the transportation to get places, whatnot. But because it was so much money, they are, especially her brother, was just flipping out. So we were kind of back to square one. I mean, she's still in that facility, but they wanted us to look for other facilities, more independent living. I mean, they do cover the meals at those independent living places, and they have transportation to get to places, but they don't check on them. And they don't help them. They don't assist them. So it is a little bit, less care provided. And he did not want us to consider any facility or make it a criteria that Medicaid would cover it when her money ran out. And there's a whole issue with that I'm not going to go into. So we're kind of back to square one, as I mentioned, and my husband made a list of all the places in the cities we wanted to consider. And I called those places and got the pricing That's all I wanted to base it on first, because everybody was screaming about how much money she's spending, that we went that first, and then we would do some investigating beyond that. So we today went and looked at, it ended up being the cheapest one. Well, when I say cheap, it's still a chunk of change. So we toured that today, got all the information, yada yada. I think she would be happy there. There hasn't, my husband and I haven't sat down and said, well, what does it look like when we say we're going to have some kind of checks and balances in place? Don't know what that means. Don't know what that's going to look like yet. And before we do anything, we're going to call her brother and make sure he's okay with all of this and that it's all settled and okay. So I don't know where that's going to land. I don't know what's going to happen there. In other news as well, since the backyard is kind of finished, except for landscaping, so the rototilling, the grading is done. The landscaping, I think I kind of said something about if I'm going to put sod down, the temperature needs to be down a little bit, so it's probably going to be a little later in the month before I do that. And anything that does not get covered in sod or whatever, I'm putting black plastic over it so that it does not grow weeds again. I do not want the situation that I had when I started this summer. It was way too much work and money and everything else. So I'm going to cover it and protect it so that it is ready to be messed with next summer for the parts that I don't get to in this month. So because that was done, I can now start on my driveway. And I did mention that that is one of those things I have to get done this year, because we had that giant 70-foot black locust tree, and it had, it was a really ginormous trunk at the ground level, but then quickly branched off into 3 big trunks, and one of those fell down in our driveway beginning of November. And it just totally messed up, because not only did they have to cut the tree up, but they ground up the stump, and so it messed up our driveway. Our driveway is not paved, it's just gravel, so it's not like I ruined all the cement or anything. So it turned into a giant mud pit last year during the winter. I mean, it was bad. It was really bad. So I am having to fix that up. And what I mean by fix it up is it's not level. And I'm going to show a quick little video of what it looks like and kind of what I'm trying to do. But it's cattywampus. So one's tire sits up higher than the other. And not only that, but there's still some pretty sizable tree roots in the ground where the driveway is. So I am leveling out the driveway. And as I'm going, I'm uncovering those tree roots, and there's a really, really long one. It just kind of curves and snakes around. You'll see that I'm still trying to find the other end too. And I'm going to cut it out so that I can finish leveling the driveway. And then I'll come in with some more gravel again. So that's my outside work right now. It's never ending. I'm telling you, people, never ending. So yeah. We'll show you a quick little video of that and what it looks like, and the chaos that resumes around here. So I know that I have a pile of stuff right here, but as you can see, this side of the driveway is higher than this side. Okay, it's kind of wonky. Part of that is because of this. This was part of the tree that used to be over there, the ginormous 70-foot black locust. It's just got some giant root balls. You can see part of the root right there used to be just above ground level. Even for this side, it was high, that the dirt was high, so it was even sticking up a little bit higher than that. So I'm having to dig, not only am I trying to level both sides out, so you're not driving in crooked, but I'm having to dig down deep enough, way down, so that I can cut. And once the cut part is done and visible, that I will be able to put stuff over it and not have that end piece sticking up above my ground level, the new ground level once I'm done. You can see it just keeps going and going, and I'm not exactly sure where it goes from here. I don't know if it goes down more, if it kind of continues on this horizontal level, or if it curves. I have no idea. Plus, because I haven't leveled it out that far yet, I mean, I kind of just started following the root line to see if I could find the end where I want to cut it again. I can't tell where my level is yet. I could down here, but now I've kind of figured it out. I haven't figured out where the level is, so I need to, I was getting very tired and I was just trying to find the end of it and it wasn't working out. So tomorrow, gonna get more people out here to help me with it, and hopefully I will find the end and get that cut, but I still got a bit of a ways to go to do this. Yeah. All right, so you saw the video, and I've worked on it even more since I showed that video. Not a lot worked on because it's getting deeper and deeper, because of leveling it, you're having to take more and more out, and I still haven't found the end of that route. So getting on to a little bit more stitchy related stuff now is the first Thursday meetup for the Pacific Northwest Stitchers. That was this last Thursday, a few days ago, and it was awesome. We had so many people there, so many people. I think the biggest group we had before this was about 17. That was a lot of people. Audrey for Stitchy Witch 42 did a video. She not only filmed kind of a little introduction and some stuff that was going on, but then she let everybody film what they were doing, showed their project they were working on if they wanted to. Not everybody wanted to. And some people had left by the time she did that, so you wouldn't have been able to see them anyway. She mentioned on there she thought there was somewhere between 24 and 26 people. We don't even know how we're going to fit that many people in that store. They just kind of kept coming and coming, and we were squeezing tighter and tighter and tighter in to our spaces.
This is Michelle's new design. She just started designing. How cute is that? I just started Noel.
Yeah, I went to the middle and I worked my way around the door. So, some of the people that were there, I know that they would have said their names, but I'll mention them in case you haven't seen her video, and if you want to, you can go see these people. There was a very nice lady who sat next to me. Her name was Tracy, I believe. Hopefully I got that right. Sweet woman. She's not typically a part of our group, but her niece was coming down to Portland. She lives kind of more towards Seattle. And she convinced her to take her to Acorns and Threads and let her stitch while her niece went and did other stuff. So that was cool. She was really nice. Erin from Two Martini Stitcher was there. She brought a friend, Carrie. Christine from Stitch All the Things. Michelle Bendy Stitchy, she was there. Emmy Irwin, that's Michelle's friend. She also has Flosstube. Marion, we all like to call her Marion the librarian just for the fun of it. She wasn't a librarian, but that's what we call her. Stephanie from Stitch Goes My Heart. Rebecca from Sombre Stitches. Melissa, she doesn't have Flosstube. Lori, Textilis. I think that was all that was on the video. As I mentioned, that's not 24 to 26 people right there. So some people, like Tracy, I think had left by the time she did that. And of course, some people just chose not to video, which is fine. Which is fine. But yeah, we had a blast, and if we keep growing, I don't know what we're gonna do. I don't know. There are some people who would, like Michelle, would get up, and I don't know if she ever sat down. She just kind of would walk around and stand behind people and visit and stitch while she was standing up. Other people would get up and shop. And so then somebody else might sit down in their seat for a little bit. And I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, we got people who are so devoted. So, I don't think I mentioned one other person. Who was it? Kindred Stitcher. I missed her. Lisa. So she's north too. Not quite as far as Seattle, but she's north. Lori's up there as well. So they drive down. Erin lives up that direction too, and her friend took a train down, which I thought was awesome. That's how committed people are to come to this thing. They're going to take a train, and they literally just do it for the day. They took the train down, they stitched, had dinner with us, and then later that night took the train back home. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to each and every month as much as I can be there. So, as I was getting ready to go for the first Thursday meetup, of course, you start thinking, what do I want to take to stitch? What do I need to bring? What do I need to look for in case I need to buy supplies there? Am I missing some thread or some fabric for some other projects I'm going to do? So I started looking through all of that stuff. And just again, to give you a little teaser, I'm going to do some big, huge project come January. This big thing. And that's all I'm going to call it. And that's all I'm going to tell you. This little teaser. So, yeah, probably maybe November. I'll tell you a little more details about it, but I'm going to make you think and wonder and be curious. But I do need to kit up some projects. So I was looking through those, trying to decide, do I have the supplies? A lot of them I had fabric for already. So kind of as I bought the pattern, I would buy the fabric. So I didn't have to worry about it. My cat is meowing, by the way. And that's the other cat, not the one you just saw. So as I'm going through my whole stash of fabric, which is not nearly as big as most people's, but I'm still having to kind of rifle through it. I'm thinking, that one calls for a colored fabric I don't have, but I do have this white fabric. I wonder if that will work. Can I dye that one and will it work? So probably around 10:30, 11 o'clock, I start dyeing fabric. Oh, what better time to dye fabric than late at night right before you're going to go to a stitching day the next day. So I dyed some fabric because I needed to know if it was going to work and whether or not I needed to buy that fabric when I got there. So I will show you what I did. Let's see here. Okay. So for this cute little pattern here, the self-medicated one, this is almost like a greenish gray type of fabric. Let me see if it says what it is. Oh, it's tin roof. So if you've seen tin roof, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, my kitty's mewing. She brought me a little play mouse. One of her little ones she plays with. So that's what that one called for. But if you look down here, the pillow is kind of like this pretty minty, soft green. That's what I wanted to do this on. I wanted it to be on that color, something different. So, like, okay, I've got quite a few colors of dye, and it's the liquid dye, so I'm like, well, maybe I'll have something that will work. This is what I got, people. It turned out fantastic. I am so happy with this. It really, really is nice. Really is nice. And so, one fabric I didn't have to buy. One down. Lots more to go. Actually, not a lot. I actually have quite a few fabric pieces, as I mentioned, so it's not like I had a lot. The second one I did, I have the Stony Creek book. It has 4 different patterns in it. I wanted to do this pattern up here. And it calls for, as you can see, it's kind of like this light blue for a sky look. Okay. Sure, I could have done some fabric, but I wanted to give it a shot. So, this is what I came up with. Perfect. It's exactly what I want. I don't know if it's exactly the color, if I went and found the fabric that they call for, if this is the exact same color, but it works. I like it. And you're seeing it pretty true to color. Looks like sky to me. It'll work. And I'm very happy with it. So, another one down, another fat bit of fabric. So I did that, and there was one other one that I wanted to see if I would be able to have fabric for, but I knew it by the time that I dyed it, rinsed them, did everything with them, it was getting to be about midnight. I'm like, I don't have time to do this other one. So the next day, Thursday after I got home, I decided, well, I'll give this one a try. This is an older pattern. There we go. Little sampler. Thanks. Okay. It called for Cafe Kona. And I'm looking at that and I'm like, well, it's kind of creamy, but since I don't see, I'm not looking at it in real life in front of me, it's hard time, when you look at pictures, they don't always represent what the color is. So I'm going to put you on pause for a minute because somebody's going to make a lot of noise. People just got home from the store, so they're going to start making some noise in the kitchen, and I didn't want it to interrupt us. So without having the fabric right in front of me, it's hard to tell exactly what color it really is. So, well, I just want it to look like this, whatever I have in my head. I do want it to be, kind of close to what's here, but I'm going to kind of, make my own as I go. Now, I know that there's tutorials out there and people have showed how they do tea dyeing, whatnot, and then they kind of cook it in the oven to dry it and get that nice kind of cooked look to it. I've not watched that, but I did watch Linda Jo attempt to do it, which was great. It was a lot of fun watching her. So she did tea. She didn't really think that there was much of a difference when she was done. So then she went to coffee. And of course, Joe's telling her, no, you can't just put water on the stove and do that. You need to brew the tea and make espresso and all this. And so there were several different stages that she went through with that because she started it her own way. And then she's like, well, it doesn't look like it's changing, so we'll try Joe's way. And and then she put it in the oven, and it wasn't really turning out exactly the way she wanted it to. And then she would keep watching it because she said if I just turned my back at the wrong time, it was overdone. So she would keep watching it and keep watching it. I mean, I don't even know how long she spent on this thing. It cracked me up. So I started off with tea, and I did not have the fabric with me to start off with, how the original. So I wasn't exactly sure how different it had turned out once I finished with the tea. But it didn't seem like it had changed that much. So I'm like, well, maybe I'll do like Linda Jo did, and I'll try coffee. I'll add a little coffee. Which all I did was what she did the first time is I just put water on to heat up and just add coffee to it. So and then I strained it. I just wanted to get some coffee to use this for. As I was pouring it in the container to put my material with, I'm thinking, that doesn't look really any darker than my tea did. Oh, great. This is fantastic. But, I already have it made, so I might as well try it. So I let it sit I think I actually kind of left it for a while because I might have forgotten about it. I mean, it wasn't like hours, but it might have been a half an hour or something like that. So I come back and I'm thinking, maybe I'm going to go ahead and bake it. I'm going to go put it in there. And I don't know what other people have done temperatures for, but I got a cookie sheet and put the tinfoil on it. And I only set my oven for 200. And I would put it in there, and every 5 minutes I would turn it around and I would inspect it, make sure it wasn't getting too crispy. overdone look, you know, the burned look in certain spots. And I did that for probably 20-25 minutes. And I wasn't really seeing anything that was a problem. And I thought, well, maybe I need to flip it over because it needs to dry better. And maybe it's not drying as well in the oven on the bottom. So I turned it over and voila, there's some little crispy spots, but they were perfect crispy. They were not overdone. They were not showing on the top side. It wasn't until I flipped them over. So I was very happy with how it turned out. I liked it a lot. It's subtle, but I love it. So I started out with this antique white. It's a Monaco, so it is the thicker stuff. It just happened to be something I had on hand. It wasn't like I was trying to find a specific kind of fabric. And this is what I came out with. Is that freaking awesome? I'm so happy that it turned out. I just, yeah. So all three of them came out. Now the blue took a little bit of tinkering around with because what I ended up using was a denim blue dye, and I thought that's going to be way too dark for what I want it to look like. So I was trying other colors and some combinations, and it was not working. So I thought, well, maybe if I just really water the denim down, that it will turn out to the color I wanted it. And it did. It turned out. So I am just thrilled beyond belief that that all worked. Because you know how fast, how south those things can go, how quickly. If you dyed fabric, messed with any of that kind of stuff, it can go wrong real fast. So the other things that I purchased, I didn't get a lot while I was at Acorns, but I got a few things, and most, like I said, most of it was because I need to kit up some stuff. Not that I am trying to buy new things. I did get a couple new things, but they're small. So I got a bunch of floss. I got about 5 flosses for, it's for all the little kitty sayings. There's 3 of them. So why are you surprised? You may approach, you know, things like that. There's 3 of them. So I needed floss for that. And then I got some really small pieces of fabric for some really small projects. Nothing fantastic. They're just kind of more neutral colors. So I'd show you to you, but I don't remember where they are in my bag over there. I forgot to dig those out. But the other things I got that are new, you know, as I mentioned last time, fall's right around the corner. It's coming, and that includes Halloween. So I wanted to I had the Satsuma Streets, the little ornament ones, and I wanted to add some more ornament size type of things, but different looks to them, and maybe I'll get like a Halloween tree type thing to display them on or whatever. So to add to that, I ended up getting this. So the little mummy guy, he is a Mill Hill kit. Very cute. Sorry for the glare. It just doesn't seem to want to not glare. And because I had seen 2 Martini Stitcher do this one, I'm like, oh, that's so cute. I want to do it. So they actually had it, and I found it. It's another Mill Hill with the little kitty cat. Okay. And that one is called Taboo Kitty, and the little mummy one is just called Mummy. But, I mean, they're like $8 and $8.50, so, and they come with everything. They come with everything, so there's not anything else that you have to buy. You're good to go, except for backing. Maybe if you want to back it, make it look a little prettier, you'll have to put that on yourself. But other than that, it calls for everything, so that's a pretty good price for everything included. Pretty nice. All right, some things that I have worked on. So y'all know I don't work on a ton of things at the same time, so I don't usually have a lot to show. And not only that, but the few things I do have going, sometimes I get to one of those and I just want to keep stitching only on that one, and I don't touch the other ones nearly as much or at all in some cases. So I think I posted my last video only about a week ago, so it hasn't been that long since I posted and had a lot of time to stitch. As I mentioned, it was a crazy week. So what I did work on, very, very little bit of Esther's Way, but I did get some progress. Got a little farther on the small row. And probably with, you know, if I really wanted to, I could finish that bottom row in one night. I could finish the little thin trail under here in one night. So I could do that and then start on the bigger band, the last big band. I just kind of got monogamous on one project most of this week. So that's partially why I didn't do that much and why I didn't finish that row when I probably could have. So what I ended up doing was working on Field Mouse Hollow. It's so cute. And because I worked on it and became a little more monogamous on it, I actually finished it. Here it is. So cute. Now, I did do some changes. I think when I said last week that I was going to start it, so I didn't even started it last week. So that's kind of how much I focused on that one. When I said I was going to start it, I said there's going to be no surprise because I didn't even show anything that I had for it. I said there's going to be no surprises. I'm just going to use what it's called for. Well, slight revision of that. It calls for Wheat Linen by Silk Weaver. That's the fabric it called for. It's on 40 count, which I have not stitched on 40 count yet. I think I've stitched on 36, but not 40. I wasn't really too intimidated. I wasn't worried about it. Now, it also says you could use Antique Cotton by R&R Reproductions, the 40 count. When I got this pattern and I bought the fabric, they did not have those. And I thought, well, no big deal. I don't care if I have the exact, you know, fabric that they called for. As long as it looks like that, I'm good with it. Well, there's pretty good enough color. And I'm happy with this. So don't get me wrong. I'm not mad at anything. I was a little surprised is all. I ended up buying Weeks fabric. If you have stitched in Weeks, you're all going, oh yeah, I know. So some people don't like it because the threads are kind of loose when you stitch on them. But the thing that I ended up finding out that I didn't realize, especially that it was going to be this noticeable, is how uneven the weave is. It is not an even weave at all, people. So if you looked at the picture, you can see it's more of a rectangle. So it's a little longer on the bottom. Mine is square. Pretty square. It's still cute. I still love it, but it is square. So be warned, if you pick Weeks for any project, that could happen. Now, the other thing I ended up having to do was these stars were on using this floss. They blended in even more than these ones are right now. So I used, oh, I can't remember what I ended up using. I used something that was just a hair more yellow looking, which now I can't remember what it was. And then these little, I don't know if they're supposed to be kind of far away stars. I don't know what they're supposed to be. I think I ended up using this color because they were originally supposed to be that color, I think is what it was. So I had to change some stuff around so it could be seen a little bit better. So that's what I ended up doing. But yeah, so cute. All right. So because I was trying to take things with me to First Thursday, I was taking that and I thought, well, what if I finish it? I better have something else to take with me. And I know some people will take like 5 projects and then they won't run out, but I didn't want to have to gather that much together. So I grabbed a small little kit that I had. It had everything already included with it, so I didn't have to worry about running out. And it was this peppermint spool, just a cute little Christmas ornament type thing. Okay. It had, like I said, everything. So let's see here. This, I actually stitched it, and not only did I stitch it and finish it, but I FFO'd it, man. Here it is. It's very cute. The only stitching you have to do is the red X's and the line in between those rows. You're not even stitching white. And then, now it said it called for like a white cording that you could put around the top here and the bottom here. I didn't want to do it. It didn't need it. It was cute the way it is. So then you have a bell that's attached to this, and then I put the little bow on there. I actually did stitch through the knot of the bow so that the bow would not come out, and it will stay put right where I want it. So here's the finish. So the other thing that I am going to start working more on, I mentioned this, and I'll show it again just because it's been a while since I showed it, but I'm going to actually give it some more time this next time period, is my witchy washi. Get the glare off there from my window. And if you remember, and even if you don't, I am doing it on a purple fabric. And yes, I did dye this one myself. Here we go. That's how much I have. So some clothesline with the clothespins, the witchy writing, a little bit of the tree, and that's it. And I had to stop because a lot of the other stuff that I needed called for some thread I didn't have yet. And then it called for a lot of thread. There's a lot of that throughout. So everywhere I wanted to start required the thread I didn't have. So I do have Mr. Delicious. Hopefully I will give him some love this week as well and get him finished because there's not a lot left for him. So hopefully I won't pick something new up except for maybe those little ornaments, but hopefully I will still give my other stuff enough love to actually get some progress on them. Maybe finish them. So with that, I know this is probably going to be a longer video. Just can't be helped. There's so much. I mean, I could have left some stuff out, but there was so much fun, interesting things that were going on that I didn't want to leave it out. Coming up, more driveway stuff. I'm hoping it has to get finished before it really starts raining because it's going to turn into mud soup again if I don't. It just may be, am I going to be able to finish it in the sunshine or in the rain myself? Other than that, I don't think there's anything else I needed to tell you. So it's been fun having you here. I don't have any new people to shout out yet because I just didn't have time this week. But I really enjoyed meeting a lot of those people that I hadn't met before at the first Thursday meetup. So that's kind of like the newness for me, at least, is being able to meet these people. But anyway, with that, I will send you off on your way, and hopefully you will have a good week, good day, and enjoy life. Get out there while the sun's still shining. We'll see you next time. Bye.